But yeah, I was
Shoot.
just pulling up some articles here, bro. I just feel compelled to go hard.
All right. Well,
You
let's go
know,
hard, man.
let's go hard. Yeah, we had done a podcast a couple weeks ago, but we've been busy and stuff. But yeah, the U.S. congressional hearing, brother, about UFOs. I want your take on it, and I'll give you my take.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, they want to tell you everything you want to hear except the truth, I think. The whole thing with like the UFO conspiracy, man, and the all that tinfoil hat stuff that we talk about is like, I think there are grains of truth to it, and it's a lot more simple than what people like that are really far out try to make it to be.
yeah,
But like, you're gonna trust the government. I wouldn't trust. Like, uh we had an entire 2 years of like being told that everything from we had an entire 2 years of like double think, bro.
yeah.
Like, we had an entire 2 years of basically anything the government says, just believe the opposite, and that's usually true. That's usually what the truth is. So like, yeah, like when they're on TV trying to explain, it's distraction, man. Like, it's just theater, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but I mean, based on what we've seen, based on what we've worked on, and just based on the fact that we're a diverse group of individuals who get together and who have something in common, like we're fascinated by the mysteries of the universe, while the rest of like the status quo is about division and dividing people along lines of faith, and most notably these last 2 years on race, and it used to
Right.
be on class and culture. And I was like I was reading some red pill threads the other night, and it was like showing the line graphs of where Occupy Wall Street, which I don't know if it was like an organic movement or not, but like where Occupy Wall Street came into the picture, and then like how much the newspapers were reporting about it. And then when those things dropped off, and what they then started to talk about, they stopped talking about class, and they started talking about race, and they started talking about men, and they started talking about third wave feminism and things like that. But I think the thing with the whole Occupy Wall Street stuff is that people were mad at the banks, you know.
Mm.
But the thing is that the banks are what supply the government, and the government makes that money go missing half the time. Like right before 9/11, you had those trillions of dollars that were unaccounted for from the Pentagon. I guess they were making T3Bs or something.
Right.
But I really just think that I didn't even watch it, honestly, but
I watched some clips, and I'm kind of informed of. It was just like a ring around the rosy type of thing that was going on in there. There wasn't. There were every time they were getting asked specific questions. Um, the people that were trying to show and provide this information, they said, "Oh, we don't have enough information on it."
we
No,
don't.
at the moment they don't, but I see something that's going to be set up soon to where they say, okay, now see here's the threat. You know what I mean? And
I read
yeah,
this thread the other night that like they have collected so much metadata on. We're gonna go like 6 out of 10 tinfoil hats on this one, okay? Maybe more. But this thread that like
yeah,
people are have had like so much metadata collected that they're actually going to be able to, like the Project Bluebeam thing is
right,
more along the lines of like, and you've heard Alex Jones and stuff talk about this, but like they're going to, it basically, if you are a Christian, they're going to basically trick you into the second coming of Christ, which if anybody knows anything about Christianity, that's like the crux of like the entire faith is the crucifixion and the return of Jesus Christ, the Messiah. But if you're an atheist, it's going to be aliens, Joey. It's going to be aliens. It's going to be so you get your choice. It's either Jesus or it's aliens. And then so that it's going to be Allah, Jesus, or it's going to be aliens. take your pick. And then it goes on to say that you're going to have this choice to either go down one of two paths, but those paths are actually going to be not good paths. They're going to be get you. They're going to try to. They're saying like take the third path, take the path within.
Yeah, there's I mean, what Project Bluebeam is basically is it's gonna be the concrete that holds the new world order. And what I mean by that is it's gonna be the catalyst. They've been doing everything, slowly, slowly, slowly. They've been, trying to do the one world currency through Bitcoin, and now our currencies is obviously falling. There's a bunch of things going on there. I mean, look what's going on with currently with the school shootings and all this stuff. So, I think it seems like we're about to go into martial law. And
Is that what? Yeah. What about that? What are they saying about that?
they're saying a bunch of things, but I've watched Alex Jones recently, and he had an emergency broadcast the other day where he was saying that they're pushing for martial law. They're pushing for, this summer is going to get crazy, and we're not even in summer yet. You know what I mean? And it's not.
Well, we
even,
know what 2020 summer was like. That was a blast, man. You had simultaneous attacks on like every major city with the again, like I don't want to get too I'm really thinking we should like start getting and stuff like that, or
we should. So I think spirituality could take us so far. You know what I mean? And I think we obviously, yeah. You cutting off there, Jerry.
There is no freedom of speech, and the truth doesn't fear scrutiny. So like whether you want to talk about aliens or religion or psychedelics or things like that, but that's all the proof any one person should need. Is that you can't talk about certain stuff. They canceled Alex Jones for crying out loud.
Right. And then they're going to try to cancel more, man. And I think it's up to us to try to keep on moving information forward, because, obviously, I know I based this podcast off of spirituality first. And, I think that's still important because that's just the concrete of our foundation. But at the same time, we cannot, I feel this calling saying that I can't just let everyone on the planet I love and the people I love in my group just get destroyed from, Project Bluebeam, or get massacred and, by these psychos that want to create a false flag alien invasion.
Well, Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, dude, it's like, even not even just that, man. Like you got to keep in mind, like history is wrought with people. And I was just talking to somebody before this, history is wrought with like people creating division over, who's but you have more death and bloodshed over a group that said there was no God. History of communism,
right.
And socialism, which is what they're trying to push in the US right now. More at the I have this joke. It's like, maybe aliens are real, but I still got to pay my auto insurance.
Right.
My bills are still due, so it's not going to change anything. And so it's like I make a funny, but like what I'm saying is that we still have real life to get around. Like I still want to make sure the water I'm drinking is good. It's not full of fluoride or something that's going to give me cancer. And you hear a lot about that, and you hear stuff about jabs. Again, got to be careful what I say, but a lot of people are starting to wake up to that whole thing. I don't know if anybody here watches Candace Owens, but she's been going off about the whole history of vaccines. They shut down Judy Miskowitz for that, but anytime in history, especially in recent 20th century history, when you see the history of communism, of socialism, from Stalin and Yagoda, who a lot of people haven't even heard, you have these countries where they tried to make the state the parents are no longer the parents of the culture now. And obviously there are some cultures that are much more far to the right, and it's a theocracy, where you have Sharia law, and that's not that great. Like I don't think we should kill people for their sexuality or for, not wearing a headdress or anything. But, humanity is wrought, Joey, with so much history of people oppressing and violently oppressing other people by a small minority. And it's no different today. So you have like the government going on TV and saying that, we have some strange stuff flying around in the sky, and we think it could be off world, but we don't want to say it's off world. But oh, by the way, like the economy is in shambles. It's like you have a friend
Garbage.
who's really into UFOs, but you're trying to explain to him that his credit card debt is spiraling out of control, and he's underwater in his mortgage, and his car's about to get repossessed. It's like, bro, maybe
It's because
that's
it's linked to UFOs. Honestly,
because it's linked to UFOs. What do you mean?
like I mean, everything we're experiencing right now, it's like it's part of the end game, right? It's part of their end game. New World Order.
Yeah, they eventually just want everybody just to be crazy and just be a robot. I mean, you see at the gym, like people just sort of staring at their phones. Or do you notice how many people just look at their phones? Right, I'm looking at mine right now, but I was trying to find you a red pill thing.
It's
but
because
like,
I mean, yeah, it's because we've been programmed to do that.
we are insanely addicted to these stupid things.
Yeah.
And I mean, the next step is just, you're just going to be when was the last time you actually put your phone down? Dude, I remember one weekend I like left my phone in a gang box at which is like a giant toolbox on a construction site. And I left it there over the weekend. This was like 5 or 6 years ago, Joey. And like, I had the most peaceful weekend. Like, I didn't have my phone, but at the same time, like, I didn't have anybody trying to contact me. I didn't have anybody I wasn't constantly inundated with like alerts and stuff. And I was like, dang, dude, I had like the most chill weekend, I got up the other day and I was like, what did I do before I used to wake up and look at my phone? But the the powers that be would have you just be constantly linked to that. You look at like Meta, you look at Mark Zuckerberg and those types and everything. So why? I guess what we should do is kind of like, and again, man, I'm not trying to hijack your show or anything, but it's like, I mean, under like ancient aliens, like, why aliens?
Right.
Why UFOs? Why? What's the new? It's not STDs now, it's STIs. It's not UFOs, it's UAVs. It's not communism, it's equality, equity, diversity. They put the same spin on the same thing, and you could really like flesh out these ideas a little bit better and everything. But it's it goes against the basic nature of human evolution, and what we're trying to do. And I don't know, let's talk about Elon Musk, like in brief. Like, the guy's trying to get us to the stars, he's trying to get us to Mars, he's saying, they're like, well, why is Twitter important? He's like, because if we keep fighting each other like this, we're never gonna reach Mars, bro.
Right.
Full stop.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Regarding Elon Musk, or just regarding in what you just said?
Just all that, man. Let's just hack it out, dude. I'm so full of fear over doing these podcasts and stuff, man. And like, I just need to sit down and just start talking.
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm trying to get out the fear part. I think I ruled that out already. I'm realizing that now we are on a time clock right now, and I think everything, it doesn't matter what we say, we just got to say it, because the sound creates our reality, and our voice creates these columns of our reality we live in. So I think right now we have to be proactive, and we are obviously, our crew is about humanity. What our meditation group, what our CE5 group has been, is about reaching out, providing data. But now we are in a crossroads right now. I think, we can't expect the aliens to come, our extraterrestrial brothers to come help us. We have to fight for our planet. We have to fight. And by fight, I mean, it doesn't have to be physical. it can be spiritual, and then it could be through vocalization. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
resist, or just
You know,
resistance. It's like resisting picking up the phone, like resisting, eating that crap food, resisting, uh, resisting the toxic things that we feel. When I got sober, like I had a friend who had known me for a while. He was a little older. He was about 10 years older than me. He said, Jerry, be careful what you feed your mind. Makes you think about that, like, as a man thinketh. I think the craziest thing I was watching at the time was like Game of Thrones and True Detective, which are both awesome shows. But you think about it, man, like the what are we constantly inundated with? We're inundated with fear porn. We're inundated with the world's going to end. There's no food, there's no toilet paper on the shelves. Um, you're a piece of crap because of your skin color, or you're better than other people because of your skin color. Like, and I think most people are well aware that that's all bullshit.
yeah,
I think a lot of people, bro, and I wanted to say this on the podcast, like after that shooting in New York, that the I have my opinions on that. Not opinions, man. I don't know too much, but like I have a lot of questions, like I have a lot of questions, and it could just be just, on the surface, what it is, but I wouldn't want to talk about some of this stuff on YouTube, obviously. But like I was in the grocery store, bro, and there was this young mixed kid who was standing in front of the milk, and I was going to grab some milk and stuff, and I said, "Excuse me." I was just like, "Hey, excuse me, bro. I'm just, like you're gonna." He's standing in front of the door you're trying to open to get the milk, And I was like, "Hey, bro, just grabbing some milk. Excuse me." And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like he had an earbud in, right? He had like his AirPods in because he was, grocery shopping, and he was listening to some music or a podcast, which I do all the time, right, Joey? And he had his earbuds in, and there's this line from a Slug song. He's, put my headphones on for this world I ignore, trek down the street towards the bookstore. And like I saw him, and I didn't get mad or anything, man. I was just like, I was like, "Hey, bro, I got my earbuds in too a lot, sometimes just to tune the world out." And he looked at me, bro, and he had this understanding. This is a young kid, mind you, probably early 20s. I say kid, but he's in his early 20s. And he looked at me and like he understood. And this was like the week of the shooting, when all the news was talking about was this, racially charged shooting, um, where this, crazy white kid went and killed a bunch of black people just for the color of their skin. And I looked at the kid, I grabbed my milk, and I was like, "Bro, sometimes I keep my earbuds in too, man, just to tune this crazy world out." And he was like, "Bro, yeah, man, I agree." And he looked at me, man, and he said, "Hey, man," like with this like silent understanding, like, "You have a great day, bro." I was like, "Hey, man, you have a great day too." Like I made it a point to like, and I'm not trying to like boost myself. Like I made it a point to like be nicer to people, because you could feel the energy in the air
there's a lot of
after
tension.
that. Bro, there was so much tension over it. There was so much tension. And, to say nothing of like the last 2 years of the kind of stuff they've been pushing and everything. And it's like, dude, our economy's but it was a really nice. You ever just have like a really nice exchange with a total stranger
Yeah,
where you just feel like everything's gonna be okay, bro? Because I don't believe this bullshit they're trying to put on us, and I don't think you do either. And bro, I was really white pilled by just how much nicer people actually were to each other after that week. I could sense people were hurt, people were disturbed, but people were actually being nicer to one another. And like I was trying to do that too.
hmm,
And I think you start to see more. It's called the I've heard it called the Bader Meinhof complex. Like when you get a car, you start seeing that car, or you start thinking about something and you start seeing it everywhere.
right.
We got to be careful of that. But like, yeah, UFOs, man, guys, the news is all talking about UFOs now. Like,
Well, you know why? Because they're pushing it. And this organization, they're really trying to push, these black budget organizations are really trying to push that alien threat narrative. You're seeing it with the trailer Nope, which I have a rant about, but I took it down. I made it private on YouTube. I might put it back up again if if things start to come out of hand. I'm gonna put the rant back up, but at this point in time, it just seems like it's a constant theme right now in the last few weeks. which is, what our job is as, people who practice C5, people who practice this meditation, is we have to defend that, because that's what, we know that those beings they're not, evil, they're not vicious, they're not violent. These are beings are angelic and celestial nature. So they've been in our shoes, and we can be in their shoes now. They're trying to raise up humanity, to its highest point in form, which is the light form. And we can't be scared. We can't be scared to talk. And I'm not scared anymore. I'm pissed, honestly. You know what I mean? I'm very, with this all this news, we are the ground workers here. We are on the ground. We are pushing for, this news to get out there, that aliens are not a threat. Extraterrestrials are not a threat.
No.
Yeah, at
And
all.
what would, well, what if, what if they were, but what if they weren't? I mean, look at the history of the world, right? Like, Joey, like, let's do a little thought experiment, right? And to anybody else who's listening, so we all, I think, know who Jane Goodall is. She observed gorillas in the wild. Jane Goodall is a
Right.
Homo sapien, and these were great apes. And we've seen the amazing things that we've been able to do to connect with apes. We're teaching them sign language. They clearly have emotion. They're so much like us. It's baffling, and it's beautiful at the same time. But you've heard me say, like, Jane Goodall didn't go running into the middle of a group of apes and go up to the alpha male and go, "Hey, here I am. I'm a person. I'm kind of like you." Is like, what would have happened? The poor gorillas probably would have freaked out and ripped her apart. So let's assume let's assume that extraterrestrials, higher dimensional beings, for those that are questioning, right, Joey, like, let's assume they're real. Would they just pop out of nowhere and there's people that have had ghost stories and supernatural stories, but if they were benevolent beings, would they just pop out of nowhere? No, that wouldn't be smart, because we're the gorillas. Okay, we would freak out. Our mind could snap. You probably compartmentalize it and not want to talk about it. So if you were a benevolent higher being, what would you probably do? If you were observing our planet, you would probably just observe. You would probably try to inch your way a little bit closer, get to learn more about them.
Right.
Maybe maybe you're the type who like we are. Look at the the whole GameStop thing. You saw what those guys did, where they took a bunch of their money and they ended up adopting apes, to kind of go along with like that joke of Wall Street bets, like they're apes. They ended up putting so much money to help protect these apes and get them the medicine and the care, and the to fund the groups that were researching them, that were protecting these amazing animals. So perhaps these higher benevolent beings, they look at us, and like, I personally subscribe to the idea that they actually have a sense of humor too. Because I think higher beings tend to. You look at the Dalai Lama, you look at some of these cats, and I don't know much about the Dalai Lama. I've heard mixed things about him, kind of like people say with the Pope, but um that's neither here nor there. But who's to say they wouldn't say, man, these guys are really cool. Like, the aliens think humans are really cool. Or maybe there's a group of them that are much more benevolent than some of the others, and they're like, you know what, these people are really cool. I think we should really try to like protect them. Why? Just because I like them. They're
Well,
cool.
yeah.
And they've adopted a few of us. Maybe they beam us up. And they go, these guys need protection. Because or you could be like some other groups of people that just want to bulldoze a rainforest and take them out, or destroy their home, which is another thing that we tend to do. But if we didn't do that, we wouldn't really have neighborhoods and houses. But that's a different kind of argument. But you see what I mean? Like, I think
Right.
they're real, but I think that they're actually, um if they were, uh and we're a civilization trying to get in touch with them, then we're like the apes trying to evolve. And do you ever hear Rogan say that like apes have entered the Stone Age, they believe, where they're starting to use tools, where you see monkeys using tools? Like that was us at one point. If you don't buy into the the DNA splicing thing, but we're trying to reach that place, but we can't reach that if we're like the apes that are just like spending more time being violent and territorial than working together.
Yeah. Um, yeah, for sure, Jerry. I mean, it all goes back to, where is that violence stemming
So go,
from? You know, it's coming from, obviously, our environments, right? All right, it comes from, you know, I used to live in the hood, you know what I mean? And I was in a violent place. But, now that I really look out at that, now that I'm not, I'm in a suburbish community now. Um, Now that I really look back at everything, you know, a lot of it came from uh, generational trauma, from my family's generational trauma, you know what I mean? And but and those generations were suffering as well. So, there's a lot of, you know, they're suffering from, I would say, Jerry, it's from it was a lack of education, and that passed on into generations. But now, you know, now I'm trying to educate myself on these matters that really are important. Where we are at a crossroads right now, and it definitely is from our environment, and we had a crossroads where there's information out there that are trying to disinform the public about these extraterrestrial beings. And me and Jerry and everyone else that had contact with these beings know for a fact they're not a threat. And this is going to be, and we're going to see in the next few weeks that this is going to be continuous through the news outlets. They're going to continue to push the alien threat narrative, and we need to end that right now, because if not, we are doomed by our own species that wants to probably take us all out off the planet. Look at the Georgia Guidestones.
Mm-hmm.
We only
Yeah,
want 400,000 people alive. What the
I was
hell?
I was listening to a podcast about that too, and somebody was kind of postulating who may have been involved with that, like an individual who like lives in Georgia and stuff. And me and Joey are going to do a podcast on some of y'all watching Stranger Things. It was originally going to be called the Montauk experiment, because there's like that weird satellite dish over in Monday. They said there was like MK Ultra stuff going on over there, but
Which could be another
look
podcast for
look
sure.
at hell yeah, we could have some fun with this, man. Like, that's the problem, is we're not having enough fun today. Like, think about this though, guys. So going back to the Jane Goodall thing, and I hear, dude, I hear so much mixed crap about like it being like aliens and demons and all this other stuff. I don't know about all that, but I know this: if human beings want to bulldoze a rainforest and capture the gorillas, they don't really ask, you know they don't usually consider the implications of that. They're going to take you and put you in a zoo, or there's going to bulldoze the rainforest. So if there are beings outside of our world that are, 6 and 800 IQ, higher intelligence, intellect, benevolent beings, or if they're not, do you think that like we would be able to do anything to stop them? Yeah, like we have like space weapons and stuff, most likely, but like, do you really think like a tube with a bunch of explosive fuel in it, and pointing it in the right direction and using a computer to tell it where to hit, do you think something like that, like we already have laser weapons,
Right.
the Navy already has stuff like that to that would be an awful weapon of war. But for people who think like, oh, if there's an alien invasion, there's nothing we'd be able to do about it, man. It would be like a comet hitting. And quite frankly, that's sort of like where Elon Musk is coming in and saying like, there's got to be some more, there's got to be some more unity as a race, as a species, so that we can get off this rock, okay, a la what am I thinking of? What's that great movie by the guy that did Batman? Interstellar. You know, where they
Okay, yeah,
don't ultimately like go to another planet, but what they do is they refine the technology necessary to live off planet.
right,
Because if you watch like if you watch like Randall Carlson and stuff, you know, while we're busy fighting, you know, it's not a matter of if there's going to be a category 4 cataclysmic event. You know, there have been at least 14 or 15 that we know of where you can look back in the fossil record, bro, and it's like, yeah, that's why every major religion talks about a flood, because there was, and then the earth cooled down and then it heated back up, and it's like you can't have cities at that point. You can't have uh uh you know, launch pads because they're underwater, you know.
right,
You're not going to be able to, you're not going to survive. I mean, a level, you know, Hurricane Katrina, okay, was like a level 1, where it's like you think of it in terms of like cities, like it'll take out a city. And this is why we need to become a spacefaring species, uh regardless of whether or not you agree with Musk, or you think he's part of the cabal, or he's part of the program or something. I don't know. I think he's kind of a troll. I don't think there's you know, I don't think everything is fake, but I think a lot of it is. You know what I mean?
I think he has enough of, power and his own power, but beyond I think he's oblivious to what the cabal actually wants, and we know he could also be being used by these
That's
individuals too.
that's possible. That's possible. I don't think I respectfully disagree on the first part though, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
think he actually knows a lot more than he alludes to, you know. And I think that I like what Alan Moore says, you know, and there's nobody's actually in control. That's even scarier. And so it's like, well, he
right,
invented PayPal. Okay. So people invented stuff. So like Ford invented the car. Okay. Like he invented the assembly line. You know, the Wright brothers discovered flight. Like there was no like great Masonic or like demonic agenda behind all these things getting invented. Like somebody comes up with an idea
right, right,
and they make it work, and then what happens is they put it into mass production, and just like the Tesla and stuff, and it's like it takes a lot of work, and that's why a lot of people don't do it, and that's why it takes a special kind of mind to make that happen. And yes,
right,
there's a lot of secrecy, and yes, there's probably, you know, alien bases on the moon and all that stuff, fine. But like the thing is like, you know, once in a while somebody emerges who does something crazy, and you don't know what the result's going to be. You know, maybe Neuralink ends up, you know, connecting us all to the system.
to the
And what,
cloud.
yeah, what I heard was like, you know, the whole transhumanism thing is that, you know, they're going to try to cut us off from spirit or from source, you know, which is actually not a bad theory considering, you know, what some people are trying to push for. But you know, in all likelihood, it's going to be a meteor, it's going to be a tsunami, it's going to be a volcanic eruption. You know, these are solar flare. I mean, these are all things that like people have actually found in the fossil record. Like you don't need the U.S. government you know, patronizing people and saying like, we don't know what these UFOs are, but they might kill us. Like, really? And what are you going to do? You
Right,
know, really, what are you going to do against a civilization that is to us what Jane Goodall was to the apes? You know,
right,
I finally listened to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it's funny how it opens where it's like, you know, he's getting his house bulldozed, and then like the aliens come through and they're like, we're gonna bulldoze your planet.
right.
But what are you gonna do, man? You know,
Like
nothing.
that, yeah, like Dr. Stephen Greer said, like if they really wanted to take us out, they would have done it since World War II. When we dropped the nuclear bombs, it would have been point set match,
Yeah, they'd
game
be like,
over.
nope, can't trust you with that, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
And we
And
came close to it, and I think that they stopped some of those nukes. I do believe that whole thing about like them hovering over the ICBM silos and disarming them. I do believe that that's true,
yeah, of course, and as they should.
because
You know
we
what I mean?
interfere with certain species in order to kind of protect them. Like we protect rhinos, like we protect endangered species
And
from
native
poachers.
tribes that
Yes.
are isolated. You know what I mean? When we come with our helicopters, they get scared and they start shooting. What is that reflection of? What if the United States government is doing that? What if they are the tribes that, get scared when they see a UFO and they start shooting them down? Boy, which
That's why
has been
Elon Musk
happening.
is. That's why Elon Musk. I didn't know that the plaid was named after something from Spaceballs. Like he's a nerd. Like that's why he talks about. That's why he talks about this sort of stuff. Like we are just like we think that we're so much smarter and we think that we're so much bigger, and it's like no, we're just bigger and smarter than the stuff around us, the stuff in our immediate vicinity.
Right.
When you look at, do you ever do what I do, man? Like we just like think about the size of the universe or like the size of our galaxy alone, and you're just like, God damn.
Yeah.
That's sorry, I'm peeking a little bit. Let me turn
Massive.
my mic. That's
That-
mind-boggling,
You're
dude.
good.
Like
Do you want to have anything closing? We have about a minute left. Do you want to have any closing
let's
thoughts?
let's do this again, man. Let's keep on knocking these out. Let's keep
Uh,
on talking about these things because I think that if we put it out there, we'll attract it.
for sure.
Because I think a
Um,
lot of people are waking up, and I think a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life all like to talk about this, and this is a universal human thing.
yeah.
It's like music. It's like love.
All
All
right,
right,
Jerry.
Joey.
I'll catch you.
Great episode, bro. Peace, guys.
Peace.